Welcome to the Political Report. I'm Julia Piedemonte, filling in for Deborah Hutchison, who is away today. He is the longest-serving mayor in the history in the town of Ajax, and his father also held post from 1958 to 1963. Steve Parish has lived in Ajax all his life. He's an outspoken advocate for the environment and most recently for municipal reform that would see Durham residents elect their regional chair. Steve Parish joins us today on the Political Report. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, I know a mayor's job is endless, so we really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us today. So the town of Ajax has launched this new website, accountabilitystartsattetop.com. What is the purpose of this website?
Well, we think that the most important issue facing the residents and the politicians in Durham region right now is the issue of direct election. And we want everybody to have the facts as to why it's important. There's a lot of misstatements out there about some statements about election expenses and party politics and all these things, and a lot of these statements are not accurate, and we want to get the facts out to people so that when they're conversing with their councillors and their mayors and they're involved in this, that they have the straight facts and everybody knows why this is important and has the good solid facts and not myths about this situation.
And now I want to get into those facts and myths in just a moment there, but you know, you say that you created this to give residents across the Durham region the facts, right?
Right.
But you know, this is a region-wide issue.
Right.
So why was it important for the town of Ajax to really take the lead, to devote your time and your money and resources to this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, the money was $30 to put the website out and some staff time. But second of all, I mean, realistically, what citizen with the resources that they have is going to put up a website with respect to this? It really needed some organization to take the lead on this and to put the website up so that everybody could have the facts and everybody could be involved in this conversation. So Ajax took the lead on this. We've been a lead on direct elections since we started talking about this 10 or 15 years ago. Our position on it is clear. 85% of the people at the town of Ajax voted in favor of direct election in the last referendum. And we just felt we were doing a public service by getting this referendum, this website up and running and available to people. But we now are standing back and we want the people in the region to take it over, to take ownership of it, to start exchanging information and ideas and opinions and communicating with each other using that vehicle.
Now, okay, we were talking about direct election. For the viewers at home, can you explain exactly what that means, you know, in layman's terms?
Yeah. Right now, every position in Durham region is elected by the people when we go to the polls every 4 years in a municipal election, except for one. And that's the most powerful position in the region of Durham, the chair of the Region of Durham Council. That position, which pays about $180,000 a year plus expenses, et cetera, is appointed by a majority vote of the 28 regional councillors. So if that person gets 15 votes, they become regional chair. Now, the mayor of Oshawa runs in a city of 150,000 people, the mayor of Ajax, et cetera, we run and are directly elected by the people. The regional chair is not, hasn't been since it was set up in 1973, and we say it's time, 40 years later, for this to change and for the people to elect their own regional chair.
And so why, in your mind, is direct election the way to go?
Well, you know, when you and I and all our friends go and pay their tax bill a few times a year, about 54 cents of it goes to the region of Durham for police, for transit, for municipal solid waste, and a whole range of things. And these are very important issues. And it's a very fundamental principle of democracy everywhere, and certainly in this country, that if you pay, you get to say. And you get to say who spends that money and what they spend it on. There's never been a discussion region-wide in the region of Durham about what the people's priorities are. Do they want us spending #1 on police, #1 on transit, all these other things? We never have that discussion because we never have candidates for regional chair speaking to us asking for our vote and telling us what they're going to do with their money.
Now, I want to get into some of the myths and facts that we have on your website. So let's just go through this a little bit. You know, one of the myths is that the cost of the regional chair will increase due to a higher profile and demand, and you're saying that that's a myth.
It is a myth, and the proof is the fact that they have directly elected regional chairs in the region of Halton, which is our sister region on the west side of the GTA, in the region of Waterloo, and there has been no increase in their staff or their office size, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no reason for the regional chair's office to increase because of direct election. The regional chair already has staff and budget of his own, and that's just a falsehood. There's no basis, in fact, for that at all.
Okay, and then another one would be that 5 MPs and MPPs are required to represent all of Durham region.
Well, of course, Halton region is just slightly smaller population than Durham. It has a directly elected regional chair. Waterloo, roughly the same population, directly elected regional chair. Ottawa for years had a directly elected regional chair, much larger than the region of Durham. And of course, you go next door to Toronto, and you have a city of 2.5 million people with a very large geography that has about 45 MPs and MPPs in it, and you have one mayor running citywide. So, I'm not convinced that that's a compelling argument.
Now, we're going into some of these myths in here, and the one thing that I want to mention is that if we were to go this way and have it to be an elected chair, how much money is it going to take to run region-wide? Because right now anyone can put their name forward, but does that not limit who can run?
Well, again, going back to the Halton and Waterloo experience, it is not in those two areas. Halton's had direct elections since 2000, Waterloo since 1997. So they've gone through several election cycles. The amount of money that they've spent, the candidates have spent in those directly elected positions has been in 5 figures. It has been 40,000, 25,000, 80,000. It's been nowhere near the numbers that people are saying in terms of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the people who have those positions in those two regions, neither one of those are independently wealthy people. There'll be fundraising involved just like there is in any other election. But the track record that we've seen to date does not bear out these huge expenses and these fears that only the very, very rich will be able to run for the position.
Now, under this new model, if it were to take hold, what if something happens to the chair? Then what do we do? Do we hold a by-election, or did they become appointed, which would be the old model of doing it?
Well, under the Municipal Act, the rules would apply no matter whether we had a directly elected chair or not. A mayor, same situation. If a mayor has to vacate office, is removed from office, has to resign, leaves office because of death or severe illness, etc., there is a process in the Municipal Act that says the council has a choice to call a by-election or to appoint. That applies to a mayor, a councillor, etc., etc. And the same would apply to the regional chair. And politically, the rule of thumb is that if it's early in the term, you almost always have a by-election. If it's late in the term and mandatory, if it's the last year of the term, you must appoint. So the rules for that are pretty clear already.
Now, will they continue to have veto power at council?
The regional chair would have no changes in powers directly elected or appointed. And of course, the bylaw that's been drafted for April 4th regional council meeting simply is about 3 paragraphs long and says the method of choosing will no longer be appointment but be by election. The powers of the chair will be exactly the same. The chair right now does not have any veto. The chair has a casting vote in decisions. In other words, if it's a tie, the chair gets to break that tie. The chair will, by virtue of the fact that they've gone through an election and have a mandate from all the people, they will have a certain moral suasion. But as Rob Ford, for example, recently found out in the City of Toronto, if you don't have the majority of council with you, you can't do anything. You still, in any system that applies to a mayor like myself or John Henry in Oshawa, etc., in order to get your agenda through, you must have the backing of 50% plus 1 on your council minimum. That will apply to regional council today. That will apply to a regional council after we have a directly elected regional chair.
I like how you worded that, after we will have an... So you believe that this is really going to happen?
No. Well, I believe that it should happen. I believe that, to turn a phrase, it's a no-brainer. I mean, we're talking about democracy here. We elect like the dog catcher, for God's sakes. Certainly we should elect the most powerful position in the region of Durham. But do I think it's a done deal? No, I don't. For this to happen, it has to pass by regional council on April 4th. And then it goes out to all 8 of the area municipalities, and at least 5 of those 8 have to ratify that, have to vote in favor. I think it will pass at regional council. I think where it could run into trouble is when it goes out to the 8 municipalities, because for some reason the 3 northern municipalities have always said that they're not in support of it, notwithstanding the fact that 73% of the people of Brock voted in favor of direct election. 65% of the people of Scugog voted in favor of direct election, almost 70% in Uxbridge. The people up there want it, because in the referendum, it wasn't just 80% of the people that wanted it region-wide. There were large majorities in every one of the 8 area municipalities. But just to continue my thought, if the 3 northern municipalities don't ratify it, then all 5 of the Lake Shore municipalities must ratify it. So it's a very closely run thing.
Now, you mentioned some of the percentages of voters, but the thing that kind of puzzles me is that, okay, yes, the people that voted in this referendum, they want this. They're signifying that they want this. However, voter turnout was really low. So how can you say that, 85% of people want it when only 30% of the people decided to actually go to the polls?
But see, that's the irony in this, because some people will say the people didn't understand the question and there was a low voter turnout. And I say to those councillors who say that to me, that was the same turnout and the same people that elected you. So are you invalidating your election? Are you calling off your election because only 33% of the people turned out? Are you invalidating your election because really those people weren't very sophisticated and didn't know what was going on? Of course not. It was an election. The turnouts varied from municipality to municipality, but the turnout, whatever it was, had that result. And it's ironical that Brock Township, whose council seems to be opposed to direct election of the regional chair, had a 47% turnout, almost 50% turnout, and something like 73% of their residents want direct election. So I think that's pretty powerful.
Well, there's certainly a lot to get into, and if nothing else, people need to head out to the polls regardless and need to make their voices heard, especially when it comes to this upcoming...
Well, on this, they have to do 2 things, really. They have to go on our website, find out, inform themselves, and then they have to have a conversation with their councillors, because it's important to remember that regional councillors will have a vote on this, but all councillors will have a vote on this when it goes to the area municipal council. So people need to get on their email, get on their phone, whatever method of communication. They need to talk with their councillor, say, we want this is important to us, vote that way.
Right. Well, you know what, we're going to run to a quick commercial break, but more when we return.